next lecture is going to follow this across the Alps. It's titled Carrying Pietre Dure Over the Alps, Prague, Augsburg, and the Holy Roman Empire. The lecture is going to be given by my colleague Wolfram Koeppe, who was the driving force here at the museum of organizing the exhibition and the catalog. Wolfram, who has worked at the museum since 1992, is well placed to deliver this lecture with his formation in the German educational system. He knows collections in Germany and Northern Europe particularly well, and brought a perspective to this exhibition which really only he could have brought. He has done a great deal of good work at the museum in recent years. For example, he installed the exhibition Princely Splendor, Dresden Court from 1580 to 1620 that took place in the year 2004. He was one of three authors of a catalog recently, Highlights of European Furniture in our collection, and I'm delighted to welcome my colleague Wolfram to deliver this next lecture.
Thank you very much, Ian, for this kind introduction. This exhibition has been an ambitious undertaking, and I think we also would like to express our gratitude to all those who helped in its realizations. The curators are immensely grateful in this way to our director, Philip de Montebello, who really was part of going into this adventure and trying to bring something very unusual to the public here that usually in this abundance can't be seen anywhere. And I think maybe during my lifetime we will not have something similar up again. I also want to use this opportunity to welcome a group of the Furniture History Society from London, which made the big jump over the channel to come here to look at Pietre Dure and some other New York collections. And I think most of them are here in this room, and I'm very grateful. These are all distinguished colleagues, and I hope we will fulfill your expectations. On the left, you see Hercules during his 10th labor. It's an etching of Virgil Solis from the end of the 16th century. In this labor, he had to capture an oxen from the herd of Geronion, a human monster, and of course, the mythological hero was successful. But just by the way, as if this task was not enough, he opened on this exhibition a channel between the Rock of Gibraltar that gave the strait its name that divided Europe from Africa. The passage was guarded by two columns that you see that he's carrying. A pair of columns and a banderole bearing the motto Plus Ultra in Latin, or translated further beyond, were since 1516 the distinctive elements of the proud device of Charles V, Emperor, Duke of Burgundy, King Designate of Spain, and Lord over the Habsburg empires. The device referred to the rule of Charles beyond the columns, which is a better term. Usually they are called the pillars of Hercules, but they really have capitals and they have bases. That is the fast expansion of the Spanish realm in the Indies, the New World. However, we want to look today at the pulsating heart of the Old World, of Central Europe and the Holy Roman Empire, of which Charles V was the elected leader, which was a loose conglomerate of different sizes, principalities and lordships, and also independent rich towns, so-called imperial towns like Augsburg and Frankfurt at the Main, that answered only the emperor as their feudal lord. Carrying Pietre Dure over the Alps can be seen here literally in the year before 800. And what you see is on the right, the Palatine Chapel in Aix-la-Chapelle in Aachen, the octagon, and you see the throne of Charlemagne. He's looking through two of these columns, and he took ancient columns from Ravenna and from Rome, and he brought them over the Alpine mountains. It was a huge undertaking. Then he had this chapel built, which would enclose them like a reliquary shrine, because they were spoiled. They were spoiled from an ancient era from ancient Rome, and he felt himself to bringing the ancient power and the ancient tradition to the north. Here you see two of these columns, and you see him in this wonderful equestrian stature, which is today in the Cathedral of Metz, and was most likely made around 917, so long after his death. But if you look at the columns, they are quite extraordinary, and they were taken during the French revolutionary occupation of Aix-la-Chapelle, of Aachen, to the Louvre, and then later given back. And it's sort of an irony that some of them were damaged, and they were repaired with Egyptian porphyry. And the story is that usually the porphyry came from Egypt, was taken by the ancient Roman to embellish Roman buildings, and then they got lost. They were excavated during the Renaissance. Anna Maria mentioned that with many other stones. Many were taken to Byzantium, where porphyry played a very important role. There's even the saying, born into porphyry. It was an imperial material. And so Charles really saw himself in this tradition, and he was one of the main influences in the northern area. You see here all St. Peter's, the Constantine Basilica, and it had here a round porphyry slab, which is today still incorporated in the new cathedral, in the cathedral that was built in the Renaissance and the early Baroque period. But this was a place where at 800 on Christmas Day, Charlemagne was crowned by the Pope emperor, and since then it served as a place where the ruler was anointed. And you have to keep in mind that to be anointed by the Pope meant really that you ruled by the grace of God, which was the belief at the time, and you couldn't rule otherwise if you were not anointed. You could be disputed. And so this porphyry slab has an enormous influence through the whole political structure in the north in the centuries afterwards.